Welcome back, you guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello again. This is episode 12.
Wow.
12. Can you believe it?
No.
We've officially made it to, well, we made it to double digits a couple weeks ago, but you know what I
12's
meant.
big.
Yeah, exactly. This is Mom's the Word, where Mom knows best.
Or at least she's trying her best.
She's trying her best. I'm Paige.
And I'm Cyndi.
And today we have a very special guest with us. Maggie, if you'll introduce yourself.
Hello, it's Maggie.
At Maggieeats.
Yes, sorry, Maggieeats.
I'm so excited that you're here.
I am very excited. Just the fact that you guys even thought to even ask me to be here is just an honor. So
Of course.
I'm
Our
grateful I
fellow
got to come.
Texan mama.
I know.
There we go.
And you've never been to Dallas.
I've never been to Dallas.
That's wild to me.
Isn't that weird?
Yes.
Yeah, that's very weird.
Was the traffic worse here?
Yes. Yes.
Compared to, she's in the Houston area.
So-
for
That
those
is
that
true.
Don't know.
And I'm like 20 minutes outside Houston, so I rarely have to deal with like the Houston hustle and bustle. So yes, the traffic was, when I got into Dallas, it was interesting, but I made it. I made it.
So Maggie's a mama as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
We're
How many
really
kids do you have?
3.
Three
Woo.
kiddos.
Three
What are their
kiddos.
ages?
My oldest just turned 12 yesterday. Happy
Aw,
birthday,
happy
Olivia.
birthday.
And then I've got a 7-year-old, and then I've got a 2-year-old. So
busy.
I'm busy.
We know.
Very busy.
Very much so.
So I am really excited to have you here, and you have such a journey that you've been on.
Yes.
And I'm excited to get to know that more.
Yeah.
So could you give us a little bit more of who you are, what you've been through, and what they could see, like if they went back to your social media? Just kind of tell your story a little bit for everybody.
Yeah. So my name's Maggie. I'm 34 years old. I'm from the Houston area. I started TikTok about 2 years ago in 2021. And most of my content is it's food, it's recipes, it's cooking, it's eating. Because I love food. I'm a foodie. And then over the past year, I got sober. There's a lot of challenges, ups and downs. A lot of tears have been shed over this past year. And yeah, I got sober, and it has been one of the hardest years of my life, but it's been the most rewarding, absolutely the most rewarding years of my life. So yeah.
I bet. So you're coming up on 1 year.
1 year, November 13th is my sober date.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty-
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's
Yes.
been awesome.
So you were on TikTok,
Yeah,
not sober.
not sober.
And
Yes.
no one knew, to
No
be
one knew.
fair. I
Yeah.
followed Maggie before you
Yeah.
actually came out, before you went to rehab, because you
Yeah.
disappeared for a
quite a
little while.
while.
And then she came back and was like, okay, guys, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think the majority of the watchers that you have were probably shocked.
Yes. One of the things that once I got out of rehab, I knew that if I wanted to continue TikTok, I needed to be authentic, and I needed to be honest with myself, but with everybody else that was following along. So I made the decision to come out and say, you know, I've been struggling with something. I've been struggling with alcoholism for several years, and I've gotten nothing but wonderful feedback and great support. And I am just so grateful for the little community that I've created on TikTok. And yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Right.
Yeah,
Such a scary thing to share, but
Yes.
you've been so open about.
extremely. For me, just personally, I was so in the dark with my addiction. You know, my husband knew that I was a heavy drinker, but he didn't know. When I finally told him everything, he was stunned. Because like I said, I completely shut that out. I hid everything. I hid all of my alcohol. And I also wasn't one of those, I wasn't very, when I would be drunk, it wasn't like I was falling over myself. I wasn't puking everywhere. I was just like this. So that's why it was, you know, confusing for a lot of my followers to see what Maggie was before, you know, when I wasn't sober to where I am now, because there's not much of a difference. And I think that was kind of the battle that I was dealing with, is that there really wasn't much of a difference in my character.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I told him that, it was a shock, and it was a shock to my family too, because again, it was something that I tried to keep very tight to myself. So when I decided to let everybody know, I knew that I needed to be open about it, because that was just something I didn't want to feel like I needed to hide anymore.
Right.
So yeah.
So you were uploading videos drunk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So when I looked through your account and like you pop up on my For You page, I've had older videos pop up of you,
Okay.
and I would have no idea.
Right.
If someone was to watch you eating, you know, you're fun to watch.
Yeah.
But you were
just seemed quirky.
yes, and fun. Your positive energy.
Just cute.
Well,
so,
thank you.
So you hit it very well.
Yes.
But you were drunk in a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
Can you? How
yeah.
much were you drinking a day?
So it's hard to, I get this question a lot because I think people who don't, who aren't alcoholics or addicts, they're like, okay, well, how much did you drink in a day? And it really just depended on the stash that I had, because I would drink up to 3 gallons of vodka from my secret stash. That was hidden. I would buy that with cash, gift cards, so my husband wouldn't find out about it. And it was, and it just added up. So some days it was less, some days it was more. It just totally depended. But roughly in a week, it was about 3 gallons of vodka a week, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
And that was the secret stash. So that wasn't what was in like our bar area. That wasn't the normal cocktails that I was making in front of my husband or the glasses of wine. That was Maggie's stash.
And
yeah.
I mean, how did you hide that?
I would put them in little water bottles, and I had little.
Classic.
Oh yeah, and the garage. We have a barbecue pit outside. I'd pop one in there. A ton in my closet, all over the house.
And nobody
sprinkled.
found them ever.
So, did you ever had a kid pop open
Thank
a
God,
bottle?
thank God, no. And that is one of those things that I reflect on, and I'm like, that could have gone that could have gone horribly.
Right.
But no, my husband, he would stumble upon them, and I would just come up with some BS excuse, like, oh, I don't know, I put that in there a long time ago. I don't know what that's from. Especially because we moved to our house about 3 years ago, so I would have little, water bottles that he would find when we got into the new house, and I'd be like, oh, I just put it in there to make transfer easier. And he's like, really?
But he
That's
didn't really
interesting.
question it.
No, and like I said, so he knew that I was a heavier drinker. I think deep down he knew that I was struggling with it, but it didn't really matter what he said to me, because I wasn't going to change anything until I was ready to change something about it. So yeah.
You feel that way as an addict, that genuinely, if they had come to you and like set up an intervention and done the whole thing?
I would have gone harder.
Really?
Oh yeah. And I think that's for a lot of addicts and alcoholics, is feeling cornered.
Right.
And feeling like there's something wrong with you and that you need to change something. And for me, I'm just F off. I'm going to just do what I'm doing. I'm going to go harder.
Right.
So I think he could see that, and knowing that about me, he wasn't gonna try and push the.
Loved you through it.
Yeah.
Right. So once you acknowledged it,
Right.
were your family and your husband like, well, we kind of thought so, or were they just blind to it all?
So I think they just didn't understand the severity of it. They didn't know how bad that I was hiding it. Because like I said, I had little stashes everywhere, anywhere and everywhere you could think of. And I remember the night that I finally got drunk and told my husband, and we just went through the house, and it took a while to get all the little stashes out, and it took even a few more days after that, because
That gave me the chills.
Yeah, that's an experience
Yeah,
to go
it has
through
to
with
be.
a partner.
Yeah.
To
Yes.
be like, I need to walk through this house and show you.
Like a
all the
huge
things
deal
I've hid.
for you
Absolutely.
to acknowledge that and be like, I'm ready.
yes,
Was he supportive through it all?
unbelievably supportive. And I think the best question that I get from people who struggle, I get a lot of DMs on TikTok and Instagram, and a lot of people say, my family doesn't know the severity of the problem, and I don't know what to do. And the best advice I can give to somebody is, when you're ready to let them know what you're struggling with, you can take the weight of the world and put a little bit on their shoulders, so then you can go and work on yourself. Because once I said I need help and I cannot do this alone,
Yeah.
I felt this unbelievable sense of relief, like the weight of the world was off my shoulders. It was a little bit on my husband's, it was a little bit on my family's, and it was a little bit on my friends, to where I could go to rehab, work on myself for 30 days, and then come back and be the mom, be the wife, be the daughter, be the friend that I know
Absolutely.
that I could be.
Right.
So
Is that how long you did in rehab? Was 30 days?
So,
The first time?
The first time, I did a 7-day stint for the first time, and that was October 2022. And I said, if I just remove alcohol for 7 days, I'll be good.
Okay.
And once I got home, I lasted about a week and a half, and then I drank. And then my husband, I was passed out because it was the first time I drank in a couple of weeks.
Right.
So when I drank, and he could obviously tell, he was like, I think you need to do the full 30 days. And I was like, yeah, I think I need to. I think I need that. And we were able to, work it out with our kids' schedule, and, my family was able to help out. So I was gone for 30 days, and it was, again, the hardest decision I've ever made. But it was unbelievably worth it.
Yeah.
I love that after those 7 days when you relapsed that he wasn't like, oh my God, Maggie,
Yeah.
like this again. Instead, he
giving
was
up.
like, you know what, let's
Absolutely.
try something else. Let's do this now.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that's
really
so
all you could
supportive.
hope for.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like that's so great.
I am unbelievably grateful for him. He has been a huge rock in my life. So
Can you talk about what rehab is like from somebody's perspective? That
Yes.
doesn't obviously
Love
know,
that.
like, what is the first night like whenever you get there? Do they
Yes.
make you do certain things?
Okay,
What's the
so-
walkthrough?
Okay, so there is a walkthrough. So when you get to rehab, they go through all your bags. They check your pockets. They go through your car. They check literally everything. And the things that you would think that they don't need to check, they absolutely check. They'll go through your shampoo bottles. They'll
They've
go
been here before.
They've been there, done that.
They know.
Yeah. The first night's hard because typically you're detoxing. And for me, that was very hard because I had not drank in a couple years. I was a daily binge drinker. So that first night was very rough. I couldn't stop shaking. That was one of the symptoms of withdrawal. Shaking, nausea, just fatigue. So really they want you just to be comfortable for the first few
I
days.
was going to ask, do they
Yeah.
give you any sort of
I know.
care?
So yeah, they definitely do. They have a nursing staff to make sure because withdrawals can be very serious. So you need to be surrounded by medical staff.
dangerous.
Very dangerous. So they want
Wow.
you, they want you to be surrounded by medical staff.
So you felt safe going through that?
Yes.
Like they're very sympathetic to that.
absolutely, yeah.
Do you pack your own clothes?
Yeah, pack your own clothes. The place that I went to, it was very realistic in the sense that they let you keep your phones, where a lot of rehabs, they don't. They take away your phones. You're able to bring your own clothes, things like that. So, which I actually enjoyed because it kind of set you up for real life when you leave, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Was it people of all ages there?
all ages. And I mean, ages from 17 to 65.
Wow,
Yeah.
17.
So then that 1 month you were there, that took.
Yes, it did.
And you didn't have to go back after that? That
I'm
1 month was
nearly
it?
a
And
sober.
so we're coming up on a year, and it's great because the facility is only 30 minutes from my house, and I go out there once a week to my meetings, so I'm able to check in with the staff, and it's just that whole facility is a great support system.
That's
So,
amazing.
Yeah.
So you had said that you had been drinking every day for years. Now you have a young baby.
Yeah.
What did that look like as a pregnant mom or a newborn mom?
So pregnancy was hard because my addiction was well before I had my last child.
Yeah.
Didn't drink during that pregnancy, but it was as soon as I had him, I was off to the races.
You were waiting for it.
I was waiting for it. And I really thought like, okay, I've been sober for 9 months. I won't need to drink as much. No, that's
No.
just not, that's not realistic. That's not what the disease does. It picks up right where you've left off. So I picked up, and the second I did, I went hard. I was in it. So,
Do you have guilt from that time when your babies were
Absolutely.
so little?
in the very beginning, I had a lot of guilt and shame and remorse because, I was drinking when my son was, up to, well, when I went to rehab, he was 14 or 15 months old. So I had a lot of guilt, and I had a lot of guilt because I drove drunk with my kids.
I know you mentioned that.
Yeah, I did, and I would do things that a sober person absolutely would never even think of. So do I sit today and have so much remorse and guilt? No, but I think it's just such a good reminder for me that I need to remember those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, then I will drink again. I need to remember how bad it got for me.
Yeah.
Because if I just think, oh, it really wasn't that bad, Maggie, you can have another drink.
Right.
Yeah.
I will drink again. So I have to remember how tough it was and, the time that was genuinely lost because I was literally just there. I wasn't a present parent. I was physically there, but was I engaging my husband? He took on both roles when I was in my active addiction. He was dad and mom because I was drunk all the time.
Yeah.
And even though I wasn't like, a fall over drunk and I wasn't, obnoxious drunk, or you could even tell that I was drunk, I wasn't there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't doing the same things you probably are now.
No,
Right.
not at all.
Do you feel this sense of excitement now
Yes.
in motherhood today
Yeah.
as you're sober
Yeah.
and you get to explore it?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm relearning my kids. I'm
I
relearning my
bet.
husband. Oh, it's wild. And I'm just able to, I don't know, just have these new experiences with my kids that I haven't been able to really enjoy, and I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hear a lot of people who will say like, I'm getting sober for my husband. I'm getting sober for my kids. Is that what it felt like for you? Or was it, I had to get sober for myself first?
I had to get sober for myself. And there's a lot of people who, you know, especially in rehab, you hear, well, my wife made me come. I don't want to be here. And I'm like, I feel you. I get it, you know? And typically those are the people that relapse because they're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for somebody else. So I knew that when I was going back for the second time that I really needed to do this right. And I did. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you
proud
did.
of you.
So go back a little bit farther here. Were you drinking young? Like,
no. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like,
Yeah.
where did it begin?
Yeah.
Was it baby
Yeah.
blues? Was
Exactly.
So that's a great question. I get that a lot. Is, you know, was it motherhood that set this off?
Right.
Because my addiction really didn't. Me and my husband got married young. We started having kids young. So as soon as I had Olivia, I was finishing up my senior year in college, and at that point, I had an addiction to Adderall. So that's really where the flip of the switch.
Those
But
college days?
Yeah.
Up all night
one
studying.
addiction to another.
absolutely. And really what happened is, you know, I had been on Adderall since I was 14. I took it appropriately. And then it was just, you know, when I had, and I was still on it when I had Olivia. And it was just me trying to get through papers and homework. And I was like, you know what? Just pop an extra Adderall.
Right.
Yeah.
And then once I did that, it was like, it absolutely switched. And then once that addiction went, and it lasted for about 5 years until I just couldn't fill Adderall in the state of Texas anymore for reasons that I probably can't talk about. But so I couldn't fill that anymore. And once I was about 26 when that that whole escapade stopped, I immediately got onto alcohol because I just constantly wanted to change the way I felt. And I didn't know why. I just wanted to feel different than what I was feeling in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So it wasn't like a depression that brought it on.
No.
It just, you needed that.
Yeah.
That
That
like,
escape.
yeah, exactly.
Were you a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah. So for the first couple of years with Olivia, I worked, and then when we moved to Sugar Land, that's when I became a stay-at-home mom. And again, it really wasn't like that was the turning point. I think it was popping that extra Adderall that I was like, here we go. I like this.
Yeah.
I like the ride.
Yeah. And that was it.
Wow.
And I just have an addictive personality. So it's just something that I have to constantly be aware of.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Are your kids, I know that some of your kids are a little bit older, at least, old enough to ask questions like, why has my mom been gone for a whole month?
Yeah.
Do they understand that side? Have you talked about it?
Yeah. So Olivia, you know, she's 12. So, you know, she's not 6 or, you know, 7 like my middle is. But
And 12 is not that young. I mean, we
Right.
say it's young, but when you talk to a 12-year-old,
right.
they're much more aware than you think.
Yeah. So we kind of explained to the kids, Mom is going to go work on herself for a little bit and, you know, she'll be back.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the extent that we told them.
Yeah.
And then when I got back and Olivia was just asking me more questions, I kind of felt like I knew she was ready to know why I was gone. And, you know, having that genuine conversation with her, and I just let her know, I said, if you have any questions, you know, please, I want you to come to me, ask me those questions. I want to talk to you about it.
Yes.
And especially on my TikTok, I get a lot of, she comes home from school, she's like, Mom, a lot of my friends watch your TikTok.
I was
and that
gonna
always
say,
makes
did you worry
me,
about that?
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of my mom friends, you know, they watch
absolutely.
my TikTok.
Yep.
So
I always forget that people in my real life
Like,
can
watch
see
you.
the things that
Yeah,
I upload,
it's
and then they'll bring
weird.
it up, and I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you see me?
saw that.
Paige does it all the time. She's like, you watched that whole breakdown this morning? I'm like, yes.
In my brain, it's not real.
it's not real,
It's not-
right?
It's
yeah.
not the same.
Yes.
It's like when you see somebody, like, I mean, I have friends, very good friends.
Right.
That, oh, what's going on with the lights in here?
So Paige.
Oh, like I'll have like a breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
And then I can have like my own best friend call me and be like, hey, are you okay?
Literally.
And I'm like, I didn't want you to call me and
I
check
can
on
tell
me.
the whole internet, but not somebody in real life.
No,
No.
somebody in real life, please don't
fine.
contact me.
Yeah, I don't
Thank
want you to check in. I
Yeah.
just wanted to vent
Yeah.
there, and then I was done.
Yeah.
And then I'm done.
Yes.
I'll respond to the people that I want to, and then I don't.
Yeah.
I want to go back in my
it-
turtle shell.
Yeah, I don't think people
absolutely.
think we use TikTok as our outlet.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
I'm putting it out there because I know other people are going to relate to it.
Right.
Yep.
But I don't want no one else to call me about it.
I know.
Go
So-
doggy.
and I think that was the weirdest part. So when she would come home from school and, you know, be like, these friends say they see my mom on TikTok, and I'm like, I just want to let you know that, I do talk a lot about my sobriety, and if anybody comes and says something to you or whatever it may be, just come talk to me and I will answer whatever you need me to. I will talk to you about it. Just it's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and especially like when I went to rehab for the first time, I put out a video just saying, hey, I'm working on myself. And I had like my cousin, my aunt, my mom. Well, my mom already knew, but my grandma, my everybody. And I was like, shit.
Yeah. Everybody. The person you went to high school with 3 years ago is suddenly worried about you.
Oh, yeah.
But now those videos are so powerful, and your sobriety is so powerful now, and more. It's like the meaning behind it, like, is huge. Yeah. Like everybody is probably so proud of you, and you hear that, and you're probably proud of yourself because it is a feat to overcome.
It is. Like I said, it's been the hardest year. A lot of tears have been shed. But it's been so worth it because it's connected me to so many people. It's been amazing. It really has. And I'm just so glad that I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to talk about it on TikTok. Because like I said, it's just being able to talk to other alcoholics or other addicts who have struggled. It's incredible.
I think, like you said, there was so much shame
at first.
And I'm sure that there are people who watch you that are doing what you are doing right now, that are hiding it and that feel like, I can't come out of this because I'm just so ashamed of what the reality will be.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's probably one of the biggest things is being afraid of the reality.
Yeah.
Of
and
the reality.
Guilt of like everything.
Being
that's
embarrassed.
happened.
Being
You can escape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
100%. 100%.
Yes. Yeah. So as you are now raising 3 children, how will you go about, teaching them about addiction? Because I would love to know this. I'm also raising 3 children. Yeah. She's raising teenagers currently.
Yeah.
Like, what is
We're
something
close
that
to the years of experimentation? I'm worried.
I think it's something that, they're going to grow up and they're going to experience.
Yeah.
I get the question, well, does alcoholism run in your family? Yes, I do. I know that alcoholism runs in my family on both sides. So it is in their genetics. And it's something that I want them to be aware of. But am I going to tell them you absolutely cannot drink and do drugs and experiment and do all the things? Because that's just not realistic.
Well, and it only makes them want more.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we're just going to kind of take it as it comes and just let them know what I went through. And they can be just as informed with that.
Rather talk about it than don't do that. Like,
exactly.
Because that's going to make me like, well, why not? Like,
exactly.
You did it. Like, and so I'd rather you experience it and let's talk about it and talk about how it could go. And
and that's just kind of like about, interventions. That's why they don't work. It's just, it just makes you want to do it harder.
It's nice to hear that from you because, I know a lot of people whose family members struggle with addiction. Things go on. And it's nice to hear from you that it's not going to happen unless you're ready for it. Because if we would intervene, or if somebody would intervene on you, you would have been like, no, we're not doing that.
And I've heard it both ways because, I mean, I have a sister who struggles in active addiction right now. Yeah. And we have offered any and every route possible and have attempted to get her to, get better because she's very, very sick. Yeah. But she's just not very interested. And she will sometimes say, okay, I'll go, let's do this. Yeah. And I'll have everything set and it'll be time to go and then she'll be gone. Yeah. And so I've heard it both ways as I've talked to so many people in the communities as I opened up on TikTok about it because I didn't have any friends or family members that had ever had a sibling with addiction. And it's also like, there's just no legal help in this state at all. And I mean, it could be for multiple states, but we're obviously in the state of Texas. In Kentucky, there is a law, Casey's Law. Yeah. And I just don't understand why it's not federal. I don't understand why it's not just across the board where a family member can go in and say, I'm terrified that something horrible is going to happen to my family member and they have no interest in getting this help. Yeah. So I've had people say both ways where like I had somebody reach out and they were like, if my family hadn't forced me, I probably would have never gone. Yeah. So I think definitely it's probably both, but it's good to hear from somebody that says, no, I wouldn't have unless it was my idea because there is so much guilt around it. I feel like indebted to her in ways. A lot of things happened in our childhood that I don't really care to go into in depth, especially as it's not really my story to tell, but she was my protector in so many ways. And so now in these years where she's more vulnerable, I feel like her protector. And so many people, even the lady, I went and I attempted to get her basically forcefully put into a rehab. And they told me in the state of Texas, we can do it for 24 hours only. Yeah. And then she can walk out. And I said, well, that's just going to piss her off. Exactly. She's just never going to talk to me again. So I didn't want to do that. Yeah. But, oh gosh, here's my ADHD again.
Well, it's so hard for you to see that and not be able to step in when you want to. And even if she didn't want the help, you wanting to try is important for that person, I think.
That's the guilt there.
But I also think for a lot of addicts and alcoholics, they don't know where to start.
Right.
Yeah. So what you're saying is also another great point, that what if you just got them into a good place and then clear the fog and let that lift up, and then the help is there, right? And I think there is a majority of people who could benefit from something like that.
Or they feel like nobody cares.
They are.
They might also feel like nobody cares.
Sure.
You know, like her sister is not around her family, and then she's like, well, you're missing out on all these things. But then her point of view could be like, well, y'all don't really care, you know?
She said to me, I feel like everybody else's life just goes on. And I said, well,
it's not true.
It does inevitably, because there's no pause button, but we still think about you every single day.
Right.
You know, we still hope for more, but like you said, I can't force her. I've tried. I've tried. And you know, you just cannot force somebody who is not interested. And sometimes, you know, I think in my own personal way, I think, well, I would just do anything for my children.
Right.
So if I were struggling, I would make that choice, you know, for my child, but that is not within every single person.
It's not.
Some people are struggling so deeply
that
it's just not within them to do that. And I know agree. That my sister is one of those people. And that unfortunately, because she does not have custody of her children. Unfortunately, that would have woken me up, and probably many people losing your children would have probably
been terrifying. For everybody.
And it doesn't for everybody.
And that is just so hard to see. I'm so proud of you.
I know.
Thank you.
Because your could have been really bad,
especially drinking 100%. And driving.
Drinking with children,
100%,
things like that.
It was a matter of time for me, you know? So it really was. Either I was going to die from alcoholism at whatever age, or I was going to end up killing myself, my kids, or somebody else. Period. That was my future.
I mean, that sounds ugly, but that's the reality.
That is
the reality.
The reality.
Yep.
Do you hold a lot of guilt with that?
Oh, sure. All the time. All the time.
And you go to weekly meetings, you said.
I do, yeah.
Do you talk about this?
Oh, yeah.
In those meetings where you're just like, this week I just feel bad?
All the time. So, so I am a part of AA, so I try and make as many meetings as possible, because your girl needs it. And they are helpful, and you know, you get to share your story with other alcoholics who are like, yep, that's me. So you're in a room of comfortability, essentially.
You can be vulnerable. You can tell it how it is.
Those people get it.
And then, you know, sometimes there'll be a newcomer in there listening, and they're like, holy shit, this is a room full of me.
Yes.
And it clicks with them, and you see that in them, and it's so great.
And that's why I love that you share online, because I think that there are people who even will scroll across your video and be like, damn, like that's me right now. I needed to see this because that's me right now.
So I'm sure it comes with its own fair share of hate, as everything does online.
Sure, it does. You know? Absolutely, of course.
So I have a question before. So now that you've been sober almost a year, did everybody around you quit drinking?
That's a great question. So my husband, in September and October of 2022, that's when I was like, okay, because really what happened was, how I came upon the whole maybe I should get sober thing was, I was taking a shot of vodka at 9:30 in the morning, and my husband walked in as I was tossing her back, and he was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, yeah, that's not good, right? You know? And he's like, let's look up some AA meetings, you know? So, and then we kind of jumped on this thing of, he was like, I'm going to get sober. So he's actually been sober longer than me. Granted, he's not an alcoholic or an addict. He was like, I don't need to drink. So he still hasn't drank.
Lead by example too.
Right.
Even though he's not a alcoholic, but still amazing.
So yeah, it really is. Which is very helpful to have a clean house. We don't have alcohol in our house, which super helpful.
Yeah, that would be triggering.
But you know, I've been able to do all of these life events. I've been to a bachelorette party in Nashville. Hello, sober.
That's
wild.
The ultimate
that
test
is,
right
there.
there.
It really is.
I've been to weddings. We've had the holidays. I've been through all of these great life events that typically people would drink at.
Right.
There's still people in my family that drink, and it doesn't. And for me personally, being around alcohol doesn't bother me. And holy shit, am I grateful for that.
Right. Because you're going to have to be.
Absolutely. And because there's a lot of people who literally cannot be around alcohol.
Right.
And I totally understand.
Right. It's everywhere.
I
everywhere.
It's everywhere. But thankfully, I'm able to just have an iced tea and sit back and watch the craziness.
I love that.
Watch it all unfold. Yeah. Sometimes it is fun to be the sober one.
It is.
It really can be.
So. I also love like one of your videos popped up for me and I was laughing because you were like, oh, you're coming up on 1 year. What are we going to do? And your other personality was like, party or something.
Invasive thoughts. It's
yes.
wild.
And those thoughts are still there for you.
Sure. It's, you know, I was getting my nails done. I was getting my nails fixed yesterday and they had an open bar and I was like, nobody would know. And I'm like, what are you doing?
You're yelling at yourself.
Absolutely. So there is, you know, I do have moments of this internal conversation, but for the most part, I'm like, that's a dumb idea. That's not a good idea.
Well, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you. What a great role model you are.
Oh,
and I know it's hard. I know it's a struggle every day for you. So.
It is, but it's worth it.
Yes.
For sure.
What's your most exciting thing now as a mom, as a sober mom, that you get to do that you feel like you didn't do before?
You know, I was never a morning person when I was drinking. And now I kind of am. I'm up with my kids.
Yeah.
But I'm more than anything, I'm just able to experience life with them and these moments that I wouldn't remember. So I'm just enjoying the little things that we have right now. And especially in the holidays, we've got fun little traditions.
Yeah.
And being able to celebrate with them. That's it. That's the sweet spot. I'm loving
That's
it.
a special moment.
It is. Yeah.
So if you were going to speak to someone out there watching today, a parent, a mom, anybody, what would you, if they are struggling with an addiction, what is something that you would tell them or give them advice on?
I would say you don't have to do this alone. That is first and foremost. You do not have to do this alone. Please do not do this alone because you can't. It's not possible. Like I said, you know, when you take the weight of the world off your shoulders by letting those around you that love you and let them in on your struggles, I promise you'll be able to work on yourself and change your life, change your world. And there's no going back. It's the best feeling. So being able to just let those around you know what you're struggling with, because nobody, whether you're an alcoholic or not, if you're struggling with something, you need to tell people. You need to talk about it. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I know this is kind of random to your sobriety, but you have lost so much weight from not drinking. People have been like, "You're on Mounjaro.
You're on Ozempic, aren't you?"
You're just like a light. You have like an energy about you.
You're
you
really
know,
sweet.
I'm serious.
No, I have, and it was one of those things that I genuinely didn't expect from it. Didn't think it would happen. And then I just randomly, I was like, this is fitting looser. That's weird. But then I realized, like, Maggie, you were drinking 3 gallons of vodka a week, and now you're not. So
no, your videos are night and day.
It's night and day.
It doesn't even look like you.
It's weird.
It does, but it doesn't.
But it doesn't at the same time.
But it doesn't. And now, I told you this earlier, I was following you then and had no idea, had no clue.
Yeah.
And it was just like, she is quirky and hilarious.
Look at her.
She is just so cute, cracking them crab
I'm sure you
legs
look
with
back.
her teeth.
I'm sure you look back now, though.
I still do it.
Absolutely kills me.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite. I'll be like, no, Maggie.
Don't do it.
No, Maggie.
Yeah, because that's right, because your husband's a dentist, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I was in the dental field for years. So
God.
It's okay. You know a guy when it happens.
I'm coming to Paige.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm coming to Paige.
No, it's fun to watch you now.
Yeah.
Do you ever, I know that I do this. I look back on old videos on this day.
Same all the time.
Reel, and I'll be like, ew.
Oh, yeah.
I look so different.
It's so different.
Or I'll be like, why did I upload that?
Yeah, why did I press upload
I thought
on
that was
one?
cute.
Yeah, is it hard for you to see those videos?
Yeah.
There's days where I'm like, you're so drunk. You look so drunk. Because I know myself when I'm drinking.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not I'm not stumbling everywhere. I'm not typically slurring my words is probably the first sign of me being drunk or just acting very sluggish. But for the most part, I just I'm like this.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I would have never known. And now if you guys go back and look at her videos from a year ago,
there's some where you can absolutely tell because then I remember those videos because the next morning I would wake up to a bunch of comments, people being like, "Are you okay?"
Really?
I was gonna ask if you were getting comments where people
like, "Is
were
she
like,
drinking? Are you on drugs?" And I would be like, "No, what are you talking about?"
I'm a good
just
girl.
food wasted. I'm food wasted.
Yeah, totally.
3 gallons of vodka. I'm fine.
I'm fine, guys. So yeah, it is weird. It's very humbling.
Oh, I bet.
It's very humbling.
It is for us all, to be fair.
Right.
It literally is. It's for us all. But I'm glad it's not triggering, at least.
Right.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are certain moments where I'll look back at things and be like, ooh.
No, I just kind of look at those videos and I'm like, I just want to give her a hug.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
She
that.
was struggling.
She was struggling.
But she's doing great now.
She's doing great.
Y'all are
great.
sweet. Y'all are so sweet.
And you feel good.
I feel I can't even describe it. I just feel like a whole other person. It took me 34 years, but I'll take it. You know,
That's right.
It could be much worse. You know, so
That's right.
We're taking it and running with it. That's it.
right.
Ready to take life and motherhood by the balls.
That's right.
Well, Maggie, it was such a pleasure having you.
Such a
on.
pleasure.
Thank y'all for having me.
And
Yes.
talking with us. We're gonna eat some barbecue tonight.
I'm so excited.
We
Yes.
might have to do a little.
Of course I am.
Come and eat with me.
Come on, guys.
I want to be in the back of her video. Like,
Hey guys, it's Maggie.
yes. And me.
That's right. Hey guys, it's Maggie.
I know, I love
We have
that.
a seafood boil.
So do you, your Maggie Eats on TikTok and Instagram?
And I'm really bad at Instagram. I just upload my TikTok to my Instagram.
Right.
That's
Well, some
it.
people don't like to go on TikTok. I
Yes.
have people who will be like,
Only on
please
Instagram.
upload on Instagram because I don't
Makes
do
sense.
it there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to juggle both, but I just love TikTok so much more.
Yeah.
So if people message you, is that okay?
Yeah.
You are a safe place.
I'm a
and
safe place.
That's a great resource for some
and
of you.
I do my best to get
Someone who
back
gets
to,
it.
and I do my best to respond to DMs. Sometimes I get kind of crazy ones, and and that happens. That's normal. But yes, I do respond, and people are like, "Oh my God, you responded!" I'm like, "Yes, I'm a human."
I'm a human.
I love that only because there's some people who relate to you. So
Yeah.
it'd be nice to like
Oh,
reach out to you and you get it.
Please
You know, especially
do.
if there's a mom who is an alcoholic. Like you're such a safe place. But
It's ready to make that
safe
step.
place.
Maggie, thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much.
For driving all this
this
way.
was such a fun time.
This really was.
So
It was
much fun
great.
with us.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
All right, guys, remember, keep those giggles going.
And the love flowing.
And until next time,
Mom knows best.
Or at least she's trying.
She's trying.
She's trying. That's it.
Trying your best.
Been so proud of